I am Cody Thorup. I'm the director of sales for the Red Sign team. I'm excited to be able to share my buyer presentation with you today. I would base this off of Cameron Wilson is going to be a first-time home buyer. So that's kind of the background of this buyer. And so I want to walk you through a little bit. For me, when I'm dealing with a first-time home buyer, initially referrals and people that I don't know, maybe as well as close friends, I want to spend some time in the beginning building rapport. I think that helps break some of those walls down so that when you start asking some questions and making sure they're understanding the process of buying a home, that initial few 5 to 10 minutes that you can spend getting to know who they are, where they work, where they're from, why they're excited about buying a home, how long they've been thinking about buying a home. I think for myself, it's helped me to connect with people on a more personal level. And so that also, I think, is intentional because my goal would be to connect in the very beginning and be layering to the point where I'm getting the agreement signed at the end of this conversation. And so that's kind of the purpose of why I do some of those things in the very beginning. So Cameron, tell me a little bit about yourself. I'm excited to meet with you today. Where do you work? Where are you from?
I'm from Utah. I work in Adobe.
Cool.
Yeah. I do some sales for them there and some support.
Awesome. How long have you worked there?
3 years.
Cool. You like it there? Adobe
Yeah.
seems like a great company. I've heard
Yeah,
a lot
they're
of
cool.
of really good things about
Yeah, I'm
Adobe.
hoping I can grow with them.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Tell me a little about, have you always lived in Utah? Are you from here? Where'd you grow up?
From here, grew up in Orem and want to stay kind of close to family.
Okay.
So,
Cool. Exciting. Wife, kids?
yep. Wife
Awesome.
and kids.
Okay. How many kids do you have?
2.
Good. Awesome. Well, that's great. Tell me a little bit about Cameron. What had you interested in wanting to buy a home? Tell me a little about that.
Well, I've wanted to buy a home for a while, and it just kind of the stars have aligned that I think I might be able to do it now in terms of like having some down payment, having enough income to afford a payment, and I just thought, let's see if we can do it.
Cool. It sounds like you've really thought through this, and it sounds like there been some things in the past that have maybe kept you from buying a home?
Yeah, mainly finances. We just needed to pay off some like student loans and pay some other debts down, and I think we're finally to that place where we can get a house now.
Okay. What is your wife most excited about in buying a home?
She wants to decorate. She
Cool.
loves making it something her own. She wants to paint walls all the time, but we can't because we're renting. So
Got it. Tell me rental, where's that at? Space a little
we're in
tight?
American Fork in like a condo, so it's pretty tight with the 2 kids.
Yeah, I've got a couple kids myself, so I can imagine you start to accumulate grandma and grandpa buying toys and you need space. They need to be outside playing.
Yes, we would love that.
Okay. Well, let's jump in. I think the goal for us today, Cameron, is for me to help you understand what it looks like to purchase a home, what the process looks like, and kind of the initial steps that you're going to need to take to be able to make this dream come true.
Okay.
Okay. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay. Well, I first want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm the director of sales for the Red Sign team. We are one of the top teams in the state. And I think for myself, Cameron, one of our focuses and one of the things I would invite you to start thinking about is how buying real estate could contribute to you building wealth. Okay. And so anytime I first meet with somebody that's never bought a home before, I want them to start thinking about how could this first initial purchase contribute to you building a portfolio or having real estate well into the future. And not that it always plays out that way. Sometimes we've got to sell this home to upgrade it to the next. But I have been able to help a lot of clients be able to purchase a home, live in it for a period of time, and then be able to move into another home and keep this home as a rental property. Is that something that you've ever thought about?
Yeah, I love the idea of making that passive income. So that would be super cool.
Okay. And I'll guide you kind of through some of the things to think about. And so sometimes you may not end up with the exact property you were hoping for. We still want it to be comfortable and you and your wife and kids to have everything that you need. But I would like to start thinking well into the future with this first initial purchase.
Okay.
So, okay. With my team, one of the neat things about working with me, Cameron, is that you get a whole team behind us. And so I've got a transaction coordinator. I've got a bunch of agents on my team that are out looking for deals. And so if I can find an off-market property or something that fits what you're looking for, I may be able to have an opportunity to get you in the door before it even hits the market sometimes. Okay.
Cool.
And so there's a lot of resources that I have readily available because of the backing that I have from the team that I'm partnered with. The other really neat thing is we are one of the top rated teams, real estate teams in the state. And maybe I would pause right there for a second and realize and understand, like, I'm presenting this like I'm on Red Sign. And so for those agents that are just starting out in the business, you also have to realize, like, being with KW Westfield and being with the top brokerage in the county, you can still leverage all the resources that we have here in the office.
Yeah.
I wouldn't shy away from, noting some of those things and letting that carry its own weight, that you're not just a brand new agent. You've got tons of resources here at the office, and you've got a team behind you as well. So I would say that. This graph right here, Cameron, kind of, it compares owning to renting. Have you ever thought about the wealth that you have potentially you will gain by purchasing a home, and the wealth that you have missed out on by renting? Have you ever thought about that concept?
Only a little bit. Like, every time I have to pay my rental, I'm like, I feel like I'm throwing away money, but I've never thought past that.
Yeah.
And what that actually looks like.
Yeah. So this will be really helpful. This is kind of a 10-year graph that shows you in a 10-year period of time how much somebody that's renting a home and somebody who owns a home, how much they are worth, their net worth. And so you can see it's drastically different. Somebody that's renting is worth about $100,000 versus somebody that owns a home is worth closer to $250,000. So there's a 2.5 times difference from that net worth. And that's even taking money every month as a renter and investing that into the stock market to try to make up some of that ground.
Okay.
If you take out not investing any money, then this is drastically different.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So keep that in mind. There is many avenues when buying real estate that contributes to wealth. So a lot of people think of the cash flow, but there is you're paying down your mortgage. So every month when you make a mortgage payment, you essentially, a portion of that's like paying yourself. You're creating a savings account in essence. And then there's some tax savings that come along with having real estate as well. So there's a lot of different things that play into building wealth while owning real estate.
Cool.
So let's talk about, this is probably these 2 pages. One talks about kind of the home buying process, and the other one talks about the mortgage process. So maybe I would start with this first initial part is, have you met with a lender at all at any point? Have you talked to somebody about getting a home mortgage?
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, we'll dive into a little bit of how that process works. So today, firstly, when you start this process, one of the things is when you go to purchase a home, you've got to utilize or select an agent. So that's why we're meeting today, because I'm excited to be able to help you in this journey. Eventually, we'll get to the point here at the end where I'll talk about kind of how we solidify that agreement that we're working together. Okay. But the first really big step in purchasing a home, Cameron, is getting pre-approved. And so I'd imagine, have you ever got pre-approved for a car purchase or anything like that?
Yeah, I got a car.
Yeah. What did that look like when you went to go get a car? What did you have to do?
I was at the dealership. I felt like they asked me like credit and income and a couple of questions like that. And then I went into a back room and then they came out and told me I could get it, but for more money or something. I don't know. It seemed like a confusing process.
Got it. Mortgage process is a little bit similar. There's no going into a back room, but we will require, there's an application that you fill out, and they will ask for a few documents, W-2s, pay stubs, tax returns, and bank statements. And by providing those things, they can start to put together an idea of how much you qualify for. And so before we start looking at homes and getting really excited about things, I really want to nail down that process first, because I don't want to get hopes up. I've had instances where people get really excited about a house, but they've negated the process to get pre-approved. And then when we go down that road, they find out, that maybe they're not quite approved for as much as they hope for, or there's a few things that we need to do to make sure that we have everything in line. Okay. So after today, my commitment to you is I want to connect you with my preferred lender and get that process started. Okay. So we'll touch base at the end on that. Once we have that really nailed down, we're going to start looking into, at properties. And so I'll dive into, and I'll get even deeper into the conversation of what are you and your wife looking for? What are your must-haves or your needs? And then what's your wants? And I really want to understand those 2 different things. So what are the have-to-haves? For you, if I was to ask you that right now, what are the things, one or two things that you would have to have in this home?
Well, I think for sure more space. Ideally even a whole nother bedroom, because right now we're in a 3 bedroom, 2 kids, so kind of limits us there. We'd love to have like a yard, even if it's small, like something for the kids to actually go outside and play in, so we don't have to like go to a park if we want to go outside. Something like that. I need a garage. I'm done with
Okay.
scraping my
Parking,
windows.
yeah, parking outside's no fun.
Yeah.
Definitely no fun. Okay. Once I'll start sending you properties, you'll start viewing them. You send things to me, I'll send things to you. Once we start finding some things that you and your wife like, we'll get connected. I'll set up a time to go see the home and we'll go walk through it. Once we go see a home and you guys get excited about a property, then comes the process of writing an offer. Do you have any idea from the time we write an offer and when it's accepted, when the seller says yes, to the time that you're getting keys? Do you have any idea kind of how long that process takes?
No, but I've seen a lot of house hunters and I feel like there is a process.
There is. So I want to help you understand kind of what that looks like. So when we write an offer, my role is to help negotiate that. So my goal is not only to get you the best interest rate and the best lowest closing costs. My goal also is to get you the best purchase price and the best terms when we are looking at a property. Okay. So that's one of my roles and the reasons why you're hiring me. So I'll negotiate the terms. Once the seller accepts those, there's really 3 important dates that you've got to be mindful of. And again, I'm going to walk you through this process. I'm going to hold your hand. We're going to make it super simple and super easy. Okay. First big date is our due diligence, which is commonly known as kind of our inspection period. Okay. So before we have that, seller will send over a few disclosures letting us know their knowledge about the property. But then we will go have a third-party company inspect the home. It's kind of like if you ever buy a used car, you have at times you have somebody look through it to make sure, you know, kind of what condition it is in. We're going to do the same thing. Okay. And during that process, I'm going to then, again, if there's things that need to be repaired, I'm going to negotiate and help you understand what's common during a real estate transaction. What are things that we definitely can ask for? And there could be some concerning things that you and your wife have that you just don't want to have to worry about when you get in. And so we'll have that conversation. This, so you know, it does cost usually about $400 to $500 for an inspection. Okay. That is something that will come out of pocket. And so that is one of our first initial costs of getting into a potential home. The other thing that I've negated to tell you is once we go under contract, I'll back up just a little bit. There is what we call earnest money. So it's initial deposit that we put down on the home that gets credited towards your purchase at the end. So know that, you know, that will be credited towards you at the end, but it kind of just is down payment to hold the contract in place. For any reason, if we decide that we don't want to buy the home, as long as we back out before these deadlines, then you get that money back and we keep shopping. Okay. So I also will make sure I've never lost anybody's earnest money up to this point, and I don't plan to do so into the future. Okay.
Cool.
The other deadline, the really big one, is our financing appraisal deadline. This is where we're going to order an appraisal and make sure the home is worth what we're paying for it. And at that point, as long as the lending and everything is looking great, once we pass that deadline, the last one is our settlement deadline. And that's where we're going to sign documents, send in our the rest of our down payment money, and that's where you get keys. Okay. Cool. So under contract to getting keys on average is about 30 to 45 days. Okay. Any questions with that part?
No.
Okay. The mortgage part, like I said, I'll walk you through. We talked a little bit about documents that are needed. Once we go under contract, one of the big things that I'll help with as well is just helping understand, do we lock a rate? So once we go under contract, interest rates are like the stock market. They're always going up and down. Okay. And so I watch a lot of the financial data and reports that are coming out. And in this market, you know, we are watching unemployment and the inflation rate very closely right now. And so those are things that I'm always constantly watching. And so I will consult with you when we are getting ready to lock your rate as well as with the lender as we think about, you know, when's the best time to do that.
Cool.
Okay. This is really, honestly, Cameron, this is the focus. Once we have this pre-approval nailed down, that's our golden ticket to get out and start shopping. Okay. So that would, more than anything, that's the focus as we leave today is to get that done. Okay. Last couple of things. Once we get that pre-approval, I've got a really awesome app that I'll get you set up with. I'll get some homes sent over to you every day. And then I want to talk a little bit about too, when you work with myself, it doesn't just end at when we, you know, I'm going to be excited when you get into this home. And, but it doesn't end there. So I've got a ton of resources when it comes to home services. And so when you get into the home and you're thinking about doing a home project or something breaks, know that reach out to me. I've probably got a great vendor that I can connect you with. And that's the relationship that I want to have, is that I hope to be a one-stop shop for you well into the future. Anything home, you know that you can call me, text me, email me, and I've probably got somebody that can get you taken care of.
Sweet.
Okay.
Helpful.
Well, there's two things that I want to end on before we leave, Cameron, and that is there is that agreement that I brought up earlier in my promise. Okay. And so one of the last things too is just this list of things that you get access to when working with me. So I want to make sure that's really clear, that you understand that it's more than just sending you a few homes and getting you inside the home. My role is to help send properties and find the home that is exactly what you and your wife are looking for. It's to consult with you well into the future about how this purchase could benefit you and your wife and potentially your kids as we look to growing and building your wealth. It also comes down to negotiating on your behalf and connecting with the different vendors that I have that will make sure that you're getting the best price and the best terms around every corner. And like I mentioned, not only once we get you into the home, I'm going to be a part of the transaction and process well into the future. And so note that if you get to a point you want to rent that home out, I've got a great property management company. I can help you, guide you through the process of what does that look like to get a renter and to manage a rental. And do you want to do that on your own? Do you want to do that with a company? And so my goal is to, like I said, everything that involves your home, I want to be the person that you turn to make sure you get taken care of. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So these last two things we'll finish up with is commission in our agreement. And then my promise to you. Do you know right now, Cameron, do you know how I get paid in this process?
No, actually I don't.
Okay, well, it's a good question for us to kind of dive into. So there's been a couple of changes that have happened in the real estate industry recently, and I want to kind of help you understand. There's really three scenarios that play out for me to get paid. One is, historically, sellers have usually offered compensation for a buyer's agent to bring a qualified buyer to them. Okay, so that's kind of the first scenario. The second scenario is sellers at times will offer a discounted or partial compensation for a buyer's agent. And the third one is that there would be no compensation offered by the seller. Okay. Most of the time, sellers are offering compensation because they want to attract buyers and buyer agents to bring them a qualified buyer. But I want you to understand that every time, again, my role is to negotiate. And so not only am I negotiating for you, I'm negotiating for myself. And so I want to help you understand that every offer we submit, Cameron, I'm going to be submitting an offer at 3% compensation for my services for us working together. Okay.
Okay.
And if there comes a situation where a seller is unwilling to work together with us to compensate and pay for that, then we will have a very open and honest conversation of kind of where we're at. And I don't ever want to get in the middle of you getting a home, but I also want to put my negotiating skills to work and making sure that I'm also covered as part of the transaction. Okay.
Cool.
Worst case scenario, because I like just covering that. It's a very rare instance, but if that was the case, there could be a portion of the commission that we wrap into the loan, or there's a little bit higher closing costs that could come with that.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions you would have with that?
No, that makes sense.
Okay. Well, let's just cover, the agreement is spelled out here. We'll go through the buyer. This is what they call the buyer broker agreement. This top section kind of just spells out that 3% that I talked about. There's also $495 broker compensation fee that's part of that. That's really for compliance. There's a lot of work on the back end to make sure that all of our paperwork is in line for all the state requirements. And so there's a $495 transaction fee that's there plus the 3%. Okay.
Would I be paying that $495?
Yeah, so the $495, as long as I can negotiate the 3% as part of the transaction, the $495 would really be the only thing that comes out of your pocket, and that would be spelled out. And it really only comes out of your pocket if I can get you into a home.
Okay.
So you don't pay it unless we're at the closing table ready to sign documents and you're purchasing a home.
Cool.
Okay. So we'll go through this. This kind of just solidifies you working with me working with you. I expect you to be really open and honest with me. And so as we go through this process, I'm going to ask you questions as we walk through homes. What do you like? What do you don't like? What don't you love? And I want you to tell me and give me feedback. And my goal, like I said, is to accomplish all of these things that we went through. That's my role in this process. And so Lastly, there's this 5-star experience. This is really my promise to you. And so as we solidify this contract, Cameron, I want to help you understand my commitment level to you. So my promise is that through this process, that I'm going to deliver an experience so good that you can't even imagine it to be any better. How does that sound?
Sounds amazing. That's what I want.
Good. We deal with people, so there's going to be some road bumps. There could be some problems, but again, my commitment is to deliver on this 5-star experience for you. Okay. So through this, I only ask for one thing in return.
Okay.
Okay. Can I ask you to do one thing for me?
Yeah.
So the one thing I ask is that if I deliver on this 5-star experience, Cameron, that at some point through the transaction, start to finish, that you will provide somebody's name, phone number, text me, email it to me. I would love to get a referral from you so that I can help a friend or a family member that has, maybe they just have real estate questions. But I would ask that you send me a name and a phone number of somebody that I could also reach out to help in real estate. How does that sound? Can you do that for me?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay. And so lastly is if we get to the close table, Cameron, I'm stoked, we're excited, we're signing documents, you're buying a house, and I don't have a name and a phone number, man, I'm going to feel like I failed. So I'm going to feel like I didn't deliver on this 5-star experience. And so we're going to have a hard conversation of just what didn't I do to deserve that referral and what can I do to improve? But that's my level of commitment to you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Well, this agreement, any questions with me delivering on this 5-star experience? Any questions that you have before we seal the deal? Put me to work. We'll get this signed and then I'll get you connected with my lender.
Sounds great. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Great. Awesome. Well, I appreciate meeting with me today. I'm excited to get you into a home.
Thank you.